boom, boom. I just love this theme music. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good middle of the night, wherever you might be. Hi, it is Saturday, the 9th of April, which means it is time for the weekly virtual Pipe Club meeting. I'm the founder, David Dorian Ross, and these are, as we already established, a very handsome-looking group here this morning.
Howdy, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Morning.
Hello.
Hi.
Greetings.
Greetings. That's right. They're handsome. They're well-spoken. They're the kind of folks that you want to hang out with on a Saturday. So I'm excited about that. And by the way, we are also joined in the live stream with some folks on Facebook and YouTube. And so if you're over there on Facebook and YouTube, I can see you. I can see your eyeballs, because that's what it tells me on my control panel how many eyeballs there are. Now there's 5, and again, every time there's an odd number, it just feels somehow scary. Anyway, if you're over there on the live stream watching, say hello. Pop your name in and where you're from. Today we have a very special guest, and I'm going to wait in telling you who it is, but I am going to give you a hint. And that's all I'm going to say right now. That's the hint. But
Subtle.
But first, I know, right, subtle. I'm nothing if not subtle. Goodness. Jeff in Boise, I'm just going to say, I'm going to go right to getting off the topic, get myself out of trouble. Jeff in Boise says hello, says howdy, actually. Howdy, Jeff. We are going to jump right into our weekly ritual, is what we're going to do, and share what we're smoking. So I'm going to start with my buddy Dave Klein. And gentlemen, you know what to do. There you go. Put up those virtual hands. And David, what are you smoking today?
Well, good morning or good afternoon, everybody. It's good to be here. Good to be with you all again. And I'm smoking, in honor of our special guest, I'm smoking the Seattle Pipe Club Pipe of the Year from 2021. And in it, I'm smoking Seattle Pipe Club Deception Pass, which I have never smoked before. I've smoked the Plum Pudding, the Mississippi River, the various iterations of both of those, but this is brand new blend. It's a Virginia Perique, and it's quite tasty. It's the first time I've ever puffed it. So welcome to our meeting, Matt. And I am actually a member of the Seattle Pipe Club, Matt. I don't know if you remember me, but I joined a little over a year ago, and I only went to 2 or 3 meetings, and then I moved down here to Florida. But I am coming back to the Pacific Northwest in June and July. So if you have meetings in those months, I'll stop on by.
Well, we have meetings every month, so it would be great to see you again.
Well, I'll be there. But anyway, that's it for me. I'm going to pass the pipe over to Dimitri.
Hello, everybody. Well, I'm starting with the Seattle Pipe Club potluck in Falcon with the Meerschaum bowls. The potluck, great tobacco, but for my taste, not as good as Mississippi River or Plum Pudding. Those are out of this world. But this is still great tobacco, love it. And let me pass the pipe to Ramachandran.
Thank you, Dimitri. Good day to all. Today I'm smoking from my Rediche Rendrine, and in it I'm smoking a Macaroni's house blend Red Stag, which is a Virginia Perique. And if I'm able to pull it through, I'll shift to my cob, in which I have ODF, Old Dog Fight. So with that, I'll now pass it on to my friend Tim.
Thank you, Ramachandran. So today I have a special pipe. This is the Sherlock Holmes Pipe Club Pipe of the Year 2021. It was made by Merchant Service, who also made a very nice Bing shape. But this is our 2021 club pipe, and it's modeled after the Dunhill LC. Kind of has this really nice swan shape to it. It's my second smoke with it. It's going very well. In it, I have McConnell's Scottish Cake. And after that, I'm going to go to this Peterson Sherlock Holmes Professor. And in it, in honor of our guest today, I'm going to be smoking some Galloping Gertie. So according to it's a fine Virginia Perique crumble cake with Turkish Orientals. I've really been into the Turkish blends lately, been enjoying those a lot. And with that, I'm going to pass the virtual pipe on to, we looks like we have a new member here, Luciano Malafronte. Welcome, Luciano. Can you tell us what you're smoking today?
Good afternoon, I am Luciano from Italy. Today, I smoke with you a Radice pipe and a very little taste of plum pudding of Seattle Pipe Club. This in Italy, this is very, ultra, very exclusive tobacco. Only if you have a friend to fly to go in the USA for work, for holiday, and can meet me, can procure me this special tobacco. Thanks for your work and for your life.
Thank you.
Luciano, it's very nice to meet you. It's always nice to have new people joining the club and getting to know new people. And thanks for bringing out that special stash
Yes.
you have there for today.
Yes, I have a tin of plum pudding, but this is a step with my friend. I create a short test for all my friend of my club in the north of Italy, Bergamo Pipe Club. It's very difficult to find this tobacco. It's very. Please send the tobacco in the Europe. For Italian smoker of pipe, it's a very big problem. Find this tobacco. Find this special tobacco with great typology of flower. Sorry for my English. I don't have a good English. I have a difficult for transfer my emotion from this tobacco.
You're doing great, Luciano.
Brother,
You're doing great,
you're
my
doing
friend.
fantastic. Yeah, and we get it. And it's interesting. Matt and I were having a conversation earlier today about the idea of monetizing our hobbies. And I think I've just come across the business model. It's an old business model. I think it's called smuggling. That's what it is. So yes, Luciano, we're going to see if we can help you out with that. All kidding aside there, who's up next?
It's Bud.
It's Bud. All right, Bud.
Hello, everybody. It's a very warm week here in San Diego. We've kind of had a heat wave. It was over 100 degrees yesterday out here on my patio. And but anyway, I'm smoking both the club pipes. Got in the 2 years ago, I've got the potlatch in it, and I've got the Mississippi River Special Reserve flake in the other one, and that's what I'm smoking here today. So I'm gonna pass the pipe over to Randall.
Thank you very much, Bud. 100 degrees, that's tough to smoke a pipe in, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, that's no fun. Just like here, the opposite. When it's so damn cold, you can't hardly talk. That's no fun either. Anyway, today, a Missouri meerschaum, I think they call this one the spindle corncob. This is the one that I smoked my first Rougarou tobacco in, and it was so good I thought I'd try it again. But I modified this just slightly. This pipe comes with a much slender shaft and a non-filtered stem, which I don't care for. So I took the metal ferrule off, popped it in the microwave for, I don't know, it's probably 25 seconds. That loosened the shaft. Then I took a different shaft that would accept the filtered stem, cleaned up the hole, glued it in there, let it sit for a day. Loaded it up, smokes like a million. And I'm very happy. I did it myself. Anyhow, let's see. Yeah, Rougarou today. I've got some other ones from Ernie to try. We'll work on those later. And I also, for Matt, I do have a tin of plum pudding in the cellar that's been there. I bet you I've had it 3 years, and I've never cracked it open. Maybe today is the day, though. I think maybe today we'll get into that and see what all the fuss is about. I got a feeling it's good stuff, too.
Guaranteed.
All right, let's see. Who else can we talk to here? How about John Pluckett, North Carolina.
Thank you, Randall. Greetings, everyone. Hope everyone's well. Morning, noon, night, wherever you may be. I've got this Eric Stokeby, 4th generation here that I've had for, I don't know, most of my pipes I've had for a long time. I've had this one a long time. It's a good smoker. And I got inspired after Ken Byron was with us a couple of weeks ago, so I've got some of his stuff here. I'm smoking a Plateau of Ling today. A lot of Kia Virginia Orientals, nice smoker. Very reminiscent of smoking outside around a smoky fire. As I've said before, one of the attractions for me of pipe smoking is I enjoy the aroma of leaves burning, which, after all, is what tobacco is. We buy it and burn it up. And so it's been a good smoke. It's good smoke. So I'm enjoying the afternoon here. It's a little cool in North Carolina this afternoon, so a little unseasonable. So this fits right in. Let me pass virtual pipe on to our friend Chris down here at the end, who's smoking away.
Thank you. So, afternoon, everybody. So I pulled out an old calabash. You see we have moved good sized bowl here, so this will probably be it. Anything more than this. Right now I'm smoking some Cherokee from the Country Squire. So get one of his good blends. Loves the blends from John David.
Chris, have you had that calabash for a while, or is that a new acquisition?
No, I've had this. See, I started smoking a pipe about 20 years ago, so maybe somewhere around like 15 years.
Nice.
So it's not one I pull out all the time. Just once in a while, go ahead and pull it out.
Believe it or
Nice,
not,
cool
that's
smoke.
the one pipe style that I don't have anything close to it. I have in my collection, and I keep thinking to myself that there's something culturally missing since I don't have one. So I'm gonna have to. I'm having a little pipe envy at the moment there. So. Yeah, super. Who are you going to pass it on to there?
Let's see. How about Alvin?
Thank you very much. Thank you, sir, and welcome today to joining us. It's a beautiful day in Austin, Texas today. I'm in my pipe nook in the garage. That it's a little windy, so I decided to just get out of the wind, and it feels great in here. The weather's just perfect. So, and I am smoking my Ryan Alden 4-square billiard, a nice panel billiard. It just smokes very well, and I have got some Samuel Galwith Best Brown plate, which is a straight Virginia that I really kind of got attached to. I don't smoke many straight Virginias, but that's one that I think will be in my regular rotation. And then I've got, if I end up finishing that, I'll go to my Radici Briar Blues 25th anniversary billiard, and I've got some Mississippi River loaded in it, which is probably my favorite tobacco of the Seattle series. And in honor of Matt's appearance here. Thank you very much. And let's see, let me pass it on to, let me see whose hand is, let's see, Giannis. Yeah, you take it over, Giannis. You're on mute, my friend. Giannis, you're on mute.
Technology.
Yeah. There you go.
Hi, Matt.
Yeah.
Hey, Janos.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see you in Chicago, I hope.
Yes.
Hopefully.
I'll be there.
I hope so.
Yeah, I'll be there too. Okay. And the pipe go quick next.
What?
Who is next?
Well, Janos, are you smoking today, or are you just?
Yeah.
What are you smoking?
Yeah. I smoke. I say downhill. Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, now, that's what we were missing when you were on mute there. Okay, so you're doing some 965. I see.
Yeah.
Are you
in my Bruno Mountains? He gave to me this Christmas. Very, very light and very nice and elegant. Always Bruno make this, and I like because my pipes is not so small. I think is bigger. That I like to sometimes to smoke small pipes. Anyway, and the pipe go to. Which next? I don't see any.
How about Michael Schroeder?
Okay, let's go to Mare.
Thank you, Janos. I hope everyone's doing well. It's a cool day in Maryland. I'm smoking some CND Folklore in my Peterson house pipe rusticated spigot.
Nice.
And since that's a pretty big pipe, this should carry me through the meeting, so I won't be prepping any other pipes for this meeting. So, and I will pass the virtual pipe to Miguel.
Thank you, Michael. I am smoking a Castello Syrup Virgin this morning, and in honor with Matt, I am smoking a Seattle Plum Pudding. And basically, this is one of my guilty pleasure. I try to control myself when I start smoking this. And after that, it will be a Tom Elton Coffee rusticated, and all that dark part is what I'm going to smoke if I have the chance to do it. And then I'll pass the virtual pipe clue to Sian K.
Thank you. Today I'm smoking my Tim Heineck with some Bufflehead 3 Oak Syrian in it. And after this, I don't know. I was thinking going Bengal slices, but as Seattle Pipe Club's going on, I might run inside and grab some plum pudding. And Janos is already gone. He's the only other one with his hand up. So I guess it's back to David.
There was James Connolly is here working away. James, do you want to say hello and tell us what you're smoking there, brother?
Sure. James Connolly, freezing my ass off, Wisconsin, and
is that the official name of your town, by the way?
Yeah, might as well be.
Freeze my ass off. I'll look for it on the map.
I'm near Milwaukee. And yeah, currently in my basement shop, so not smoking anything today, but well, yet. But once I get this done, I might sneak out to my outdoor shop.
Awesome. Well, it's nice to see you, sir.
You too.
All right. Miguel, have we got anybody else that I've missed?
I don't see David Johnson is with us. Hey, David.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's live. And there's another one, David DeMoss. Those two. I don't know if they have their microphone. And the last one will be the Umber Piper. I don't know if your audio is live. But, those are the three. Well, we'll pass it back to DDR.
Hey, Miguel, how you doing this morning?
There you go, David. I'm good, thank you. How are you, David? How are you feeling?
Good. I'm doing okay. I've been nursing a bum leg for the last couple of days, so I got it elevated. So I'm not smoking anything, but I'm just here to enjoy everybody this morning, and I hope everybody's having a great day.
Thanks, David. It's always good to see you. I'm sorry to hear about your leg, though. Sending good thoughts your way, brother. Yeah. Okay, well, great. For those of you who might be new, might not have joined us here either in the live stream or in the Zoom. By the way, those of you who are watching out there on Facebook and YouTube, we do this every week, and you're all invited to come and join with the cool kids. Just saying. Not that you're not cool, but these guys definitely cool. Just saying. So if you want to do that, if you ever want to join us in the Zoom room there, have a chance to chat live with our special guests or whatever, I usually post the link to the Zoom meeting on a variety of different Facebook groups. We don't post it on YouTube. I know we had a lot of people watching on YouTube, but I don't ever post it there because we get, let's just say, unexpected and unwanted guests who pop in and want to share their link to Pornhub and places like that with us. So that's why we don't post the link there. But on Facebook, you can find us and then come and join us. Yes, so one last thing, two things I want to say. By the way, Janos, are you still there? Janos is still here. Janos Kokinos, our beloved friend and member of the club, and somebody that I love as a personal friend, and I've got many of his pipes in my own collection. He's making the 2022 Virtual Pipe Club Pipe of the Year, and it's this one. Where's my camera? It's this guy right here, and this is sort of a prototype. He's got more special features that he's putting on his pipe. The club logo, his logo, and your name, your personal name will go engraved on the pipe. Today, is that right, Janos? Are we just doing it today? We're extending it to today is the last day? Oops, you're on mute again there, man. Janos.
Yeah, today and tomorrow is the last day to order.
Okay, so
yeah.
So tomorrow is the last day.
The first punch is ready. Anyway, I mean the stammer is ready. Just arrived the material for the a mouthpiece. I need maybe 10 days, and then I start to post it.
So,
but to be on time today and tomorrow, the rest that wanted to order is go to my website. I will post in the chat my website for those that need to order. Anyway, okay.
Awesome. Yeah, it's a beautiful pipe. I love. It's an excellent smoker. And again, it's limited quantity this year, much more limited than we've had the last couple of years. So today and tomorrow, and then no more. My smoking, though, what am I smoking today is a bit of the old and the new. So last week we had Peter Jebsen on as our special guest, and so I ordered a couple of Peter Jebsen pipes because I didn't have these in my collection, and I'm loving them, especially this one. I feel very Bilbo Bagginsy with this thing, And so that's what I might fill next. Currently, in honor of our guest, I'm filling it up with some Mississippi River. It's a beautiful blend, very full in the mouth, very wraps around your tongue and gives you a lot of different taste experiences. You know how all the different parts of the tongue have little different sensitivities. I love it. It is sort of right in the middle between creamy and oily-ish for me. And remember, you should take nothing that I say at face value because I am not an expert of any kind whatsoever. So, but I like it. It's a delicious blend. And when I'm done with this one, I'm going to put a little Hood Canal in the Church Warden, and that's what I've got planned for today. Well, the reason why so many of us have yanked out the Seattle Pipe Club blends from our cellars is because our special guest today is the founder of the Seattle Pipe Club and a guy that people keep telling me is a nice fella. And he's shaking his head right now about that.
Who would have said that?
I wonder who said that. Anyway, it's my pleasure. It's my privilege to introduce Matt Guss. And welcome, Matt. It's great to have you on the show.
David, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. And I was flattered and humbled by seeing all the folks smoking Seattle Pipe Club. Everybody who isn't smoking Seattle Pipe Club, don't feel bad. There's more of it left for you to smoke later. But I was especially touched by, and I've heard these things before, Luciano, the Pergamo Pipe Club in Italy, spoke so touchingly about how, and we get this also in the United States when a tobacco is very rare and very hard to get a hold of. But in other places, it's more common and not so hard to get a hold of. So when, we see folks getting plum pudding or some special Seattle Pipe Club tobacco that they prize so highly because it's, we think it's very, very good, but because it's so difficult to obtain, it's a lot of times we don't realize all the different interwebs of this pipe community, and it's always interesting to see. Anyway, thanks for having me.
Well, we're glad that you're here. So I'll confess that, like I do with most of our guests, I go on and try to do a little bit of background just so that I don't seem entirely ignorant. But I came across a profile of yours that said that your pipe smoking history goes back quite a way, including family members who may have influenced you to smoke a pipe. And so where did it all begin?
Well, it all began with my dad in his underwear.
That's the first time those words have ever been uttered on this show, I have to say.
They will be the last, I'm sure. So my dad was a pipe smoker, and he smoked cigarettes now and then, but he was basically a veteran pipe smoker, and he would sit famously in his underwear, which underwear in the 1950s was almost like a garment, an outdoor garment today, it's like the T-shirt and so forth. But he would get very comfortable, obviously sounds comfortable. He'd get comfortable and he'd be sitting in his favorite chair, and he'd have a stack of books on his right, and he'd have a stack of books that was growing on his left. The ones that he had finished from the right would move to the left. And he would sit, and I come from a family of 5 boys. You can imagine how noisy it was in there. We were watching television and talking and fighting, and my dad had this incredible concentration, and he would be smoking his pipe and reading his books and oblivious to the world. And that was just part of my picture of my dad growing up. He wasn't always in his underwear. Actually, he did dress, from time to time. But he was definitely my influence long before I ever had any interest. I didn't want to smoke a pipe. A pipe was an old man's smoking device. And, I was teenager and had zero interest in that. But like all of us, I think, who have family members who, relatives who smoked a pipe, we've got that burned into our olfactory memories. And they say that taste and smell memories are some of the strongest ones that we have. And I can find myself drifting back to poker games with my grandfather and uncles and friends where they would smoke cigars or smoking their pipes, and cigarettes, of course, the ubiquitous cigarettes in the 1950s and 60s. And those smells are deeply, deeply embedded. And they're embedded in a very, very positive way. I associate them with good memories. So yeah, my dad was the pipe smoker.
And then what was what time of your life did you finally pick up a pipe and say, all right, I'm going to give this a try?
Well, it was stage 1 and stage 2. Stage 1 was before I went off to college, my dad took me to a local tinderbox. And I said, well, what are we doing here? And he says, well, you have to have a pipe. Every college man has to have a pipe. And I thought, okay, I wasn't aware of this ritual. Thanks for telling me. And we go into the pipe shop, and the gentleman behind the counter goes, we have many kinds of pipes. I'll show you any of them that you might like. And so the first pipe that I saw was the calabash. Hang on. It was this pipe. Look familiar? So I thought they all look alike. This one looks different. Okay, that's my pipe. And that became my first pipe. I got some tinderbox tobacco to go with it, and smoked it a couple times, put it in a drawer, and pulled it out, I think about 15 years later. And surprisingly, the tinderbox tobacco was still moist. So I thought, gee, this is like a miracle, right? I obviously must have sealed it up perfectly for it to be still moist. Little did I realize that the chemistry involved in some of the tinderbox tobacco was meant to last into the next millennium. So, but that was the time that was stage 2 that I really picked up the pipe again in earnest and began exploring tobaccos, horrible tobaccos. But as I tell people who start down this path, I go, there's a lot of guidance, but you're going to have to walk this path yourself, and you're going to have to figure out what it is that you like and what it is you don't like. And quite frequently, what you like at the beginning is not going to be what you like as you go down this road. And there's no shortcuts for that. And that goes for pipes and tobacco. Finding out what you like is just one of those things that is growing up in a particular community or hobby or anything else that we do. I remember my brother, John, who I introduced to pipe smoking, always try and drag as many people into the community as we can. And, I love my brother.
I think the word you're looking for there is your addiction.
Yeah, that's, well, right. I wasn't looking for that word, but thank you. And John, at that time, he said, I gave him a pipe and tobacco, and he said, I said, well, what kind of pipes do you think you might like to buy? And he says, oh, that's easy. I'll just buy all the pipes that you have. I'll just buy the exact same pipes, the exact same tobacco. And so that decision's done. He's a Harvard MBA. And you know what they say about Harvard MBAs, you can tell a Harvard MBA, but you can't tell them much. So John was of the opinion that if I had already done the legwork and the due diligence, then he didn't need to think about that anymore. He made an executive decision. And I said, John, that would be great. You would have some wonderful pipes. You'll have some fantastic tobacco, but you're going to have my pipes and my tobacco. They won't be yours. So it took him a while to kind of accept that premise, but he went off on his own little path, and that we all have to do. So anyway, that's a long-winded way of answering your question, I think.
So, Matt, are you a Seattle native? Is this where you grew up and had your influence on?
Oh God, no.
Where
I was born in Philadelphia, and my dad's family, my mom's family, was from Philadelphia, and we moved out to the Northwest when I was 9. So, of course, all of the key ingredients to my personality had already been formed before that. Then we moved out here, and I've been a Northwesterner ever since, and still live in the Seattle Metroplex. I mean, it's in Lakewood, actually, down by Fort Lewis, or as we affectionately call it, Ground Zero.
I totally get that joke. For those of you who don't know, I recently moved up to Seattle. I was living in Southern California for a long time. Not a Southern California native. I'm actually a Portland native, but Matt, don't hold that against me. There's a friendly rivalry between Seattle and Portland, and so now I get to be the link, I guess, between the two. So in those early years, between your stage 2 and then the time then you recruit your brother into the community, what kinds of pipes and tobaccos did you experience, and what became your collection?
That's a good question. At the time, I started the Pipe Club with a question. Back in the days before Facebook and so forth, they had these forums and news groups. And there was I was smoking a pipe or learning how to smoke a pipe again. I'd kind of come back to the pipe and I was enjoying it. And I thought, hey, wouldn't it be kind of fun to smoke a pipe with some other people? I wonder if there's other people in this area who smoke a pipe. And I had posted up on a news group asking that question, and a couple people responded, and we had our first we had our first Pipe Club meeting. It wasn't called the Seattle Pipe Club at that time, in like January of 2001 at the what was called the Issaquah Tinderbox, which was a lovely tinderbox with a little back room with comfortable seating and food and drink, and it was very, very nice, and that's where the Seattle Pipe Club got started. And at the time, I thought, well, what's a pipe? It's basically a piece of wood with 2 holes in it. So I'm not going to spend more than $5 for a pipe. And I would buy pipes on eBay, or I guess it was eBay. For my budget was around $5, and maybe $8, $9, whatever. And there were estate pipes to be had for that. And I was smoking some horrible tobacco, which I thought smelled okay. At the time, when we first started the Pipe Club, there was somebody who wanted to sell or trade a pipe, and he had this pipe, and it was a little Criswell pipe. And I said, well, what do you want for that? And he says, $20. I said, that's ridiculous. I'll give you $5. And he says, no, it's $20, and that's a deal. And I said, it's absurd. My budget is, pipes are intrinsically only worth $5, or 10, maybe tops. Anyway, reluctantly, I paid $20 for the pipe, the most I had ever paid for a pipe. And that is what sent me down the slippery path of better pipes, better tobacco, and learning what I like. So, I still have a $5 pipe that I had from those days. And I don't, I don't necessarily look down my nose at that. I think, and I think all of us have pipes that, irrespective of the price or the provenance, whether it's a Missouri Meerschaum or something like that, are great smokers, and indeed might, in fact, be our favorite smokers. So it's just boils down to what you like. And although I think it's unusual for a super inexpensive pipe to be a great smoker, it can certainly happen, and I've had that experience. I think that there's kind of a minimum standard of quality of materials, of engineering, of skill in manufacture that goes into making a pipe that is deliberately a good smoker rather than one that is accidentally a good smoker. And I'm all for happy accidents, but I also like and respect the artisans who really understand the physics, the architecture of the pipes, as well as the aesthetics. So at the end of the day, we smoke what we like, right? So and it's always interesting to see what other folks like as well.
So do you have a favorite maker that you gravitate toward, or one of several?
Yeah. I would say that my two favorite carvers are Wolfgang Becker and Chris Asteriou. And I put, everybody approaches this differently. I mean, my approach is that I'm a relationship person. I like to know the people that I like my friends. I mean, that sounds redundant, but I enjoy the relationships, and I enjoy the fact that there are so many people wonderful people who I would never have had the opportunity to have met were it not for pipes and tobacco. And that extends into the making of the pipes. So I enjoy buying pipes from good makers who I like. I mean, for instance, because I think of them when I smoke the pipe. I think of our relationship and our friendship. And I'm good friends with Chris Asteriou. I'm very good friends with Wolfgang and Guido Becker. There's nothing wrong with buying a pipe from somebody you don't know, but that adds a dimension to the experience that I like better. I mean, for example, smoking a pipe is a pretty personal experience, and I would not buy a pipe from an asshole. If I bought a pipe from somebody who was just a complete jerk, that would communicate itself to me. And my feeling is, pardon my French, fuck that pipe. I have zero interest in that. That I smoke the pipe for pleasure. And every single pipe I have some connection with that person. So why would you have a connection with a jerk, right? So, I mean, considering the value that I place on my friendships and on my relationships and this growing community of people that I feel blessed to be a part of, I embrace those people, right? And the ones who don't bring that same kind of vibe or relationship, that's not for me. You can be somebody else's buddy, but not me. And when I smoke this pipe made by Chris Asteriou, I think of the good times that we've had together. I think of the martinis we've shared at a steakhouse in Las Vegas. And, I think about his kids. So it's a personal experience for me.
I love it.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
put myself on mute there. No, I totally get it. And I think that was really, that's articulated something that a lot of us feel. So that's awesome.
And I'll throw in the mix there that Joe Langford is one of my dearest friends, and we would not have the Seattle Pipe Club tobaccos were it not for his incredible talent. And I put him up as the best blender in the United States. I mean, everybody's got their favorites. That he's mine. I mean, he is a I'm searching for the word to describe the kind of talent that he has. He is just an understanding and an ability to create blends that just resonate, certainly resonated with me, and they obviously resonate with other people as well. But he's one of my best friends. And when I smoke, and of course I smoke Joe Langford blend tobacco, when I smoke that tobacco in that pipe, it's the exact same thing as, the Chrysosteriou pipe with the Joe Langford tobacco. And I feel very, very, very fortunate to be able to enjoy that. And it's not important to everybody, and I respect that. But it is important to me, and it is a very significant part of my experience with smoking a pipe and the tobacco.
I think you're right. You cannot, or it would be sort of having to deliberately block off something to dissociate the experience of the person, especially when you're so involved in the pipe world that you get a chance to meet these kinds of people. A lot of us don't have a chance to meet all of the people that we buy pipes from. Like, I don't know anybody at Peterson. I don't know, that kind of thing. But you're right. I know Janos, and I know Chris Kelly, and I can't not think of them when I smoke their pipes. I love that. I wanted to see if I could pause for just a second here. I see Bud's got his hand up there, and this might be a great time to open it up to some questions from the rest of the group here. So, gentlemen, if you don't mind, you know the drill. Put your hand up there, and let's maybe ask some questions of our guest today. So, Bud, go ahead.
Hi, Matt. I was wondering if you have any pipe carvers in the Seattle Pipe Club.
Hi, Bud. Yeah, thank you for that question. That's a really good question. The Seattle Pipe Club, I mean, as I kind of think back on the 22 or 3 years that we've been in existence, we are so blessed with having a very diverse group of folks and immense talent. We do have some great pipe carvers in the Seattle Pipe Club and have over the years. We have Robert Amundsen, who now lives in Alaska, who made our club pipe of a couple of, or last year, I guess. And I think David showed, he's got his Seattle Pipe Club pipe. And the club pipe is something that we have done almost every year for at least 17 or 18, maybe 19 years. I can't remember. I don't know whether we did it the first year. And we've got Kadesh Swanson, who is a fantastic pipe carver. Tom Johnson made our first club pipe in 01, I guess, or 02. So yeah, the quick answer is yes, we do have carvers in the club. It's always interesting too to see somebody's progress. We have one of the things that we do in the Seattle Pipe Club is we have a club picnic, which has been at my house a few times. It's been at other club members' house, and I remember when both Robert Amundsen and Kadesh, both of whom I would call extremely accomplished pipe carvers who have really found their own voice in pipe carving, which is a separate topic, but I think it's important. Otherwise, you can be a good pipe carver, but a copyist, and that's okay. But when you see a pipe carver like a Tom Eltang or a Chris Asteriou or Wolfgang Becker have a signature and have a style of doing things that you can spot from across the room, that's a different kind of a thing. But I remember when both Robert and Kadesh came to our club picnic, and they had some of their early, kind of like my first pipe collections. And, they said, and they wanted Joe Langford to look at it. And Joe is the most gracious person. And Joe is the high grades pipe collector. He is, has an aesthetic and values exquisitely made high grade pipes as much as anybody who's in that subsection of our hobby. But he would look at these. It's like your kid, brings you a little, something they made, and you go, oh, that's very nice. Oh, you did a really good job on that. And, oh, careful, I might get a splinter. But, he would look at it, and he was very kind and he was very generous. And he turned out to be a very big supporter of Robert's, for example. And I think that when a known personality in the pipe community kind of takes you under their wing and says, hey, this is a guy that you should sort of pay attention to, that's what we all look for, right? You think, well, hey, if Bud says this is a great pipe, then I'm going to look at it a little bit more favorably. And it's nice to be able to help people up, right? Lift people up a little bit. And both Kadesh and Robert really responded, and in their own ways went on their own journey of education, studying with guys like Jeff Grasick, who else? Anyway, I don't know. I'm not a pipe carver. So yeah, that's the, if you ask me what time it is, I'll tell you how to build a watch. So sorry about that. Is there another question?
Yeah, Tim, I see you got your hand up there.
Yes, Matt, thank you for being here today. I really do like everything you've said so far. Appreciate you being here. I was wondering, can you tell us a little bit about what is a typical Seattle Pipe Club meeting like? Do you have any structure to the evening? What's it like being there?
Well, that's a good question. Thank you, Tim. I would say that the Seattle Pipe Club certainly has evolved over the years. I mean, that anybody who has ever run or tried to manage a pipe club can identify with this. But, and I was talking with David about this earlier, that you find there's a lot of different kinds of personalities in a pipe club. And we all share the same pleasure and joy of smoking a pipe, but not everybody is equally willing to or able to help kind of grow the pipe club. It's like, I like to go to the movies. I don't want to make a movie. I want to sit in the audience and I want to enjoy the movie. And that's okay. You don't have any movies if you don't have an audience. So a typical Seattle Pipe Club meeting, certainly in the early days, was a little bit more formal in terms of having an introduction. We would have, and historically, would have speakers. And the theory was when we got together, because when we got together originally, I didn't know what a pipe club was. I'd never been to one. And there were a few folks in the group who had been to other pipe clubs, so there was some frame of reference. But we decided early on that if all we were going to do is get together and smoke our pipes, we could do that at home, and that that people might lose interest in coming to the pipe club if we couldn't provide more what we called edutainment. So kind of to the degree that we could, we would bring in folks to talk about certain aspects of the hobby. Back in the early days of online pipe selling and non-traditional pipe marketing, we had guys like Mike Luckler come down from Briar Blues and talk about the Briar Blues website and the industry, kind of the inside baseball side of the industry. So it'd be a combination of frequently guest speakers. Sometimes those guest speakers would come from inside the pipe club. We had one guy who was a coffee fanatic, aren't we all, who came in to talk about roasting beans and grinding coffee. We had amateur blenders. We had guys who were carving pipes like Tom Johnson. And we tried to combine in the meeting both the social aspect of just getting together and smoking our pipes, as well as a little something to think about. And then we also created events like a slow smoke. We do an annual slow smoke. After a couple years, we started doing annual dinners, which really grew in quality and formality. We created an annual dinner that we did for maybe 15 years. That was kind of the highlight of the year. It was a special event. It was not a meeting. It was, we'd rent out a venue and have it catered, have guest speakers like Rick Newcomb and Greg Pease and Craig Tarler and Peter Stokeby, in fact, God rest his soul, was our first guest speaker. And we were very lucky to have him. And when we couldn't get a guest speaker, we invented one. And we had an actor portray a fictional Clive Dunhill. And Clive Dunhill was, of course, no one was in on the gag until the end. Everybody thought that he was he was kind of the black sheep of the Dunhill family. And he came in and he told kind of saucy tales about getting kicked out of clubs and chased by women's fathers down the street and barely escaping with his life. And he broke into song and told kind of backstories about the Dunhill family. And then finally he kind of admitted that he was an actor, and we kind of let everybody in on the gag, but it was quite amusing. So
that sounds amazing.
I love this so much that I'm now jealous that I didn't think of this myself. That is awesome.
It was fun.
That was really terrific. I see Dave has a question up there, and then I have a question that came up from the chat there. After Dave goes, I'll ask that question for you.
Yeah, two things. First of all, I'm smoking a Robert Amundsen pipe here, and just to back up what you said, Matt, back when the pipe was delivered in the mail, he contacted me and he took an interest in asking me, how did the pipe smoke? And, he wanted to know what I thought of his pipe. And I must say it's great. It smokes really well, doesn't gurgle. You can smoke it all the way down to the bottom of the bowl.
Yep.
It's just an expertly made pipe. And Robert seems like a stand-up guy. I've never met him in person, and but I would like to. I'd like to just sit and talk with him at some point. But my question is, I wonder if you could spend just a couple of minutes talking about how the Seattle Pipe Club blends were developed. I remember you told me one time that Joe Langford used to show up at the Pipe Club meetings and he'd have baggies of tobacco that he would just pass out and give away to everybody.
Yeah.
And you finally figured out how to to sell it or market it, or I don't know, maybe you could just talk about that for a minute. I like that
Sure,
story.
I'd be happy to. This is one of these things that hindsight, a lot of things in our life seem like you look back and you can see where you got somewhere, right? You can kind of see the path from which you've come, but you can't see the path on which you're going. So in the early days, Joe Langford kind of showed up, and I remember somebody told me about Joe, and when he came to the first meeting, I was still smoking inexpensive pipes. I had moved up to the $20 pipes, I think. And when he showed up to the first meeting, someone said, well, he's going to show his S-Bang collection. And I thought, did I just hear that right? I mean, what? He's going to, what's an S-Bang? I had no idea. So he shows up and he has brought, it's the first time I met him, and he brought some pipes to show. And he brought, I think, 25 S-Bangs, which were about half of his S-Bang collection. And he unpacked each pipe, laid it out on the table, and my mind was blown. I thought, what are these? I mean, are these pipes? I mean, these are like works of art. They're exquisite. And the common theme for each pipe was that they were all well smoked. There was no closet queens in that group. Every single pipe was doing what it was supposed to be doing, which was a tool, a beautiful tool to enjoy tobacco. And I learned as I became acquainted with Joe that any pipe that didn't meet his standards of performance, that's gone. So, but Joe also did not give up easily on a pipe. He did what I called smoke a pipe into submission. So if that pipe had the possibility of becoming a good pipe and he thought it was holding out on him a little bit, he was going to work that pipe to death until it performed the way he thought it could perform. And if it didn't, he'd get rid of it. But along about that time, and Joe was and I think remains a very modest and kind of a shy person, certainly in new crowds anyway. But he began to bring to Pipe Club some blends that he made, and I believe the first one was Mississippi River. And he famously said he would bring samples of this. And when I say Joe would bring a sample, he would vacuum seal a pound of tobacco, and he'd bring it and kind of say, here you go, you can have as much of it as you want, or I'm not taking any home, so just enjoy it. And people would try it, and they'd say, gosh, that is like, what's in that? That's one of the very best. And it was a pressed, Mississippi River was a pressed blend at that point, and they were a solid cake, like of a pound. And people would say, it's fantastic. Could I get a little more? And he goes, sure, I'll bring you some next meeting. So the next meeting, he would bring somebody, give him a pound of tobacco, and they'd say, what do I owe you? And he'd say, oh, nothing. Oh, no, I want to pay something. So he wouldn't say, and they'd give him like $10 or $15 or something. And because he was so generous of spirit and he just enjoyed doing it, this kind of went on for a while. So, and then Plum Pudding was created in 2007. And the reason I remember that Plum Pudding was created around 2005 was that I was over at Joe's house at his kitchen counter sampling Plum Pudding at the time when he was using different source tobaccos to make it till he finally decided, the recipe never changed, the source tobaccos changed. Until he finally decided, or we decided that, one particular mixture was better than another. And Joe, anybody who's had the very good fortune to meet Joe will know that he is an amputee, or he was born, with only one arm. So he's got a kind of a mechanical arm and a mechanical leg, and he gets along just fine. But I was sitting there thinking, hey, you guys are asking this guy to go into his garage, blend up pounds and pounds of tobacco, and it's like a big ask. I thought, let's move past that. Everyone who wants some of Joe's plum pudding in this particular case, everybody wants some of Joe's plum pudding, put it in an order, we'll get it mixed up, we'll have it specially tinned, so it'll be like a collectible kind of edition, and then that'll be done. So, we don't need to keep asking Joe to go back to the garage and labor over his barrel of tobacco and make this stuff. It's a big ask. It's kind of unfair to keep doing that. Let's just get it over with. And so everybody says, yes, that's great. So they pay, their money, and we ordered, I think, the first order of plum pudding, and it was mixed by Russ Willett, according to Joe's specifications. It was mixed up by Russ, and then it was shipped down to Cornell and Deal to be tinned, because they were the ones who had the tinning operation. And we put a special label on it and sold it to our club members here in Seattle. And as soon as the order came in, I thought, well, that's that. We don't have to worry about that anymore. We'll move on to the next project. And then a couple of weeks later, somebody goes, well, could I get some more of that plum pudding? I thought, God damn it. You had your chance. Why didn't you make your order back then? We're done with that. We're moving on. We're moving on to the barbecue or something important. So it kind of grew organically just like that, where once we had moved the plum pudding and Mississippi River production out of Joe's garage and into a minor production, we started getting a few requests from retailers to carry it, and then it just kind of grew organically, and from what do they say? From small seeds, a mighty oak grows. So, does that kind of answer your question?
Yes, it does. That's great.
That's a great origin.
I've never met Joe Langford, but one day I hope to.
Well, I hope you do. He's one of the best people I've ever known. He is incredibly talented, he's a very funny guy. He's very down to earth. And I will repeat, there is not a better tobacco blender in this country. There are a lot of ways of approaching blending tobacco. I'm not a blender per se. I mean, I only know as much as the next guy, but there's a lot of ways of approaching it that I have seen. There's kind of the scientist, there's the culinary expert kind of approach. And then there's, I call Joe Langford kind of a musician. He is able to orchestrate. He has like hardwired the way each component ingredient works individually. And he will tell you that he spent a lot of time smoking as many individual component tobaccos as he could, and in different pipes in different ways to try and get that sense. I mean, I think of it as like musical notes. So that becomes your toolbox, right? Or that becomes your ability to paint or mix. You have to know your
palette,
your materials, right? And it's not just dumping tobacco in a bowl and mixing it up. And the interesting thing about Joe, and I don't think he would mind my saying this, is that, and because I've asked him, I said, well, how many times, or how many variations or versions or experimentation did you do to come up with this blend? And he'll say, none. I go, well, what do you mean? He goes, I just did it in my head, about how I wanted it to be. And with very little changing, that's the way I created it, and it hasn't changed since. And that's the way he has created almost every blend that he has created. And if you stop and think about it, it's not just random chance. I mean, I couldn't do that. So he has what I think is a fairly unique ability to create a recipe with it in mind as to what the outcome is going to be, how it's going to taste, how those individual components are going to interplay to make that whole. And if you think about it, I mean, what I think about it is the pipe tobacco world is full of mediocre tobacco. And the exceptional tobaccos, and we're all in search of the exceptional tobacco, right? But the exceptional tobaccos are naturally few and far between. And when you have a blender, and I think there's a lot of different ways of getting to the same place. I mean, you can come up with a great, those blenders who are able to create great blends can come up with it with their own process. But I think it's a pretty amazing thing for the process that I described for Joe Langford to be able to hit the bullseye with that process. I'm just, as not a tobacco blender, I'm kind of amazed and impressed at that talent.
Yeah, I have to say that the greatest master blenders usually make between 10 and 50 different variations of the blend until they get it right. Like I know Russell Lasky told me about his process. He makes a lot of different variations until he gets it right. And I have to say, Russ is, I would say, one of top 5 blenders in the world now. I'm a amateur blender myself, and twice I got it right on the first try, but most of the time it takes me a few months to get it right, to get what I want. So that talent is absolutely exceptional. I don't think anybody in the world has that ability except Joe. And also, I guess we all have to thank those guys who wanted extra plum pudding for all the great tobaccos we're able to smoke now. Like for me, plum pudding and Mississippi River are among the top 10 tobaccos in the world. I know Tom Wolf smokes Mississippi River all the time. Those are absolutely exceptional tobaccos.
Thank you. I know Joe is always humbled and very pleased to hear how, and one of the side benefits of both the Seattle Pipe Club and the Seattle Pipe Club tobaccos is that a guy who is as talented and gracious and interesting as Joe Langford has expanded his friend network. More people get to know him worldwide and to know his talent and know something about him. So I think that's certainly an extra benefit that makes me very happy.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm a member of New York Pipe Club, and our two clubs have been good friends for many years. So it's
Absolutely.
Really great to see you with us.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dimitri.
Yeah. There's a question I wanted to throw in here because it came through the live stream group, and then there's Ramachandran and Alvin and Randall, I thanks for being patient. We'll get to you next. Piper said, who's on the live stream out here, said, with the regulations in Washington, is it any easier to get Seattle Pipe Club tobacco blends than any other blends? I know that they always have that caveat there, but is it any easier to get Seattle Pipe Club blends than other blends?
Well, Seattle Pipe Club blends, ironically, are not available through online resellers in Washington State. So, and I get this all the time, and it's very unfortunate that we live in a shitty, repressive, totalitarian state like Washington. And that's been the case for quite a while now. So our tobaccos are available in the state of Washington through brick and mortars, and God bless them. I'm glad that we have brick and mortars, including our own home pipe club venue, which is called Smoky Joe's Cigar Lounge. And they have treated us very well. I always say that we've been kicked out of the best places in Washington State as the smoking laws become more regressive. And currently we're, and have been for the last 12 years maybe, on an Indian reservation casino, which is super comfortable, and they treat us fantastically, and we're lucky to be there. So it's the only place we can be, and it's the best place we've been. So it's the best of all possible situations.
Gotcha.
But yeah, our tobacco is available at the remaining tobacco shops in Washington. There's probably 15 of them or so.
But other online retailers outside of the state of Washington?
Oh, Seattle Pipe Club tobaccos are available at Tobacco Pipes, at smokingpipes.com, at Pipes and Cigars, at Four Noggins. I mean, really everywhere good tobacco is sold.
Gotcha.
Yeah, in New York City, Buckler X Pipe Shop has excellent selection of Seattle Pipe Club tobaccos. That's where I usually buy mine, unless I buy it online.
Super. Ramachandran, you're up next, sir.
Thank you, Didier. I'm Ramachandran from India. I just wanted to know one thing. Since plum pudding and Mississippi River, they're all synonymous with Seattle Pipe Club.
Yes.
Can we also look forward to have something from Seattle Pipe Club, some pipes? Since you said you've got carvers also in your club. So can you develop a good pipe, which will be again, something similar to the blends that you have?
I'm sorry.
No, which can be commercially made and sold, like Peterson's or Dunhill or anything, with the logo of Seattle Pipe Club.
That's a very good idea, and actually we've discussed that. We haven't made very much progress on that. We do a club pipe, Ramachandran, every year from different carvers. As you probably, or you may know, our club pipe has been done by folks like Jeff Grasick, Tom Eltang, Paolo Becker, and many others. So we do an annual club pipe, but as far as doing a production pipe, it's, I don't know. I think that there's so much variation in people's taste and style that it would be, it's easier to appeal to people's tobacco taste than than appealing to their pipe style tastes. I don't know, but the quick answer is no. We've thought about it, but we haven't done it.
Okay, thank you.
Very cool. Alvin, see your hand up there.
Thank you, David. And thank you, Matt, for joining us today. It's just an honor to meet you.
My pleasure.
And I do, just one quick comment on relationships. Now, when I smoke my Mississippi River, I know Joe Langford blended it, but I'll think of you. So I'll have a stronger connection with my tobacco. So I do get that. Just a question. I was thinking about it when I found that you're going to be on the show, and I can't recall whether I really heard about the Seattle Pipe Club before or after the pipe tobacco blends that came out. And I guess my question would be, what has changed? How has the club changed since the blends were released and become so popular? I'm just kind of curious on that, because I would think that your membership, or certainly the interest in your club, would seem to have grown even for folks outside the Washington area. I'm just kind of curious how has things transitioned as a result of, I guess, the club being on the map like that?
Well, Alvin, that's a really good question, and that's one of the unintended consequences, I think, of the path of Seattle Pipe Club or any of our lives. You know, that the Seattle Pipe Club started just as me raising my hand, going, "Hey, is there anybody else out there who also smokes a pipe, who might want to get together and chat?" And I mean, I didn't have any idea. And I didn't have any idea how rich the community was really going to be. I always, I don't know whether you'll think it's amusing or not, but I think of the pipe community kind of as the Star Wars bar. And I don't know whether you remember the Star Wars bar, but in the first Star Wars movie, Han Solo and Chewbacca walk into this bar, and every different creature in the universe is in there, you know, drinking and singing, and it's just this crazy mixed up community of people having fun. And I look at the pipe community kind of similarly. We all come from very different backgrounds, different countries, different cultures, different levels of interest, different hobbies, and it makes it a really rich community as a result of that. So the first part of the answer is, I don't think any of us had, until you put all of us together, you really don't know what you've got, right? So there was that. And then when we started to create the tobaccos and the awareness of the Seattle Pipe Club really left Seattle, and we would go to the Chicago Pipe Show, and people would say, "Oh, you're with the Seattle Pipe Club," or they'd say, "Are you a real pipe club?" I get that all the time. Do you really have a pipe club, or is it just called the Seattle Pipe Club? And I said, no, of course we have a pipe club. So Joe Langford's, I use the word celebrity, or Joe Langford's awareness, you know, kind of grew. The Seattle Pipe Club's awareness kind of grew. And I think it was to all of our surprise and to everyone in the actual Seattle Pipe Club, the fact that some knowledge of the Seattle Pipe Club goes before them. You know, they're really part of a bigger community, and the Seattle Pipe Club is part of a larger community. So that is, again, you know, kind of maybe the unintended consequences, Alvin, of the Pipe Club, of the pipe tobacco, is that we have become better known. And it's always interesting when people from around the world say, I've heard of you guys, and I know who Joe Langford is. People have asked me, is Joe Langford a real person? And so I have to get on the phone and ask Joe, are you real? Or, you know, so he usually says he is. But yeah.
I mean, you have a national brand now, and that's just got to be intriguing. I mean, you have Apple and Coca-Cola and the Seattle Pipe Club. I mean, that's pretty incredible. That's big. That's good company.
Well, we're very fortunate to have our pipe tobacco is blended and tinned and distributed by the Sutliff Tobacco Company in Richmond. And I have to say, they are fantastic. When we migrated the production of our tobacco to them almost 10 years ago, Carl McAllister was their master blender at that time, and today it's Jonathan Wood, both immensely talented tobacco men. Coming up, being able to produce consistently the tobaccos that Joe Langford created with the quality that has to be maintained. I mean, remember, pipe tobacco is an agricultural product. I mean, not to restate the obvious, but the challenge is, how do you get every tin of plum pudding or Mississippi River to be just about the same as it was the last time somebody bought it? Because that's important. You know, we pipe smokers care about those things. So we're blessed to be in partnership with Sutliff, who has access to the best tobaccos on planet Earth, and resources that help us, continue to make the blends to the high standards that Joe created and that Jonathan Wood and Carl McAllister maintain. So, Sutliff has been the most perfect partner for us. We couldn't have done anything like this without them.
That makes sense, Matt. I had the opportunity to go to the Richmond Pipe Show last year, and I toured their plant.
Oh, isn't that great?
And I was absolutely amazed. I almost say shocked. I just didn't realize it, how many bouquet blends I saw on their shelves that I'm sure some blenders wouldn't even claim they blended it there, but they blended in their own shop. But they blend a lot of good tobaccos, so I can see that.
Yeah,
I can see
Alvin and I were there together,
that partnership.
And Alvin,
well, I will.
Didn't we see them?
I will throw a little inside baseball. That there are some famous tobacco blenders whose tobacco was sourced directly from the Sutliff warehouses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you, Matt. I appreciate it.
You bet.
I was going to say that Alvin and I were there together on that tour. And Alvin, didn't we see some of Seattle Pipe Club's stuff being packed?
We did.
Up while
We
there?
did, along with a few other unique names that I did not realize were blended there.
Yeah, absolutely. Randall, thanks for being patient, brother. Go ahead.
Matt, just curious, kind of want to get your opinion, hear what you have to say. We live in a world of anti-tobacco everywhere, literally the whole world. And you have a pretty strong pipe club. And your venue, if you'll call it that, is an Indian reservation. I suppose that is somewhat isolated from the rest of the rules and regulations of the local governments. And I'm just wondering, would that be if a guy was interested in starting a club, would that be a place to target, to look at, a home base, so to speak, because of that insulation factor?
So that's your question as to, that's a really good question. I think that, as I said, we've been fortunate, even though we had to bounce around a little bit as the Seattle Pipe Club, but we've been very fortunate to be able to go to smoking venues. I feel a lot of empathy and sympathy with pipe clubs that really don't have that benefit of being able to smoke in their venue, or they have to go outside, or, it's like being banished by your wife to the garage or something. I mean, no offense to those people whose wives have banished them. So we all have to submit to our wives. But the quick answer is 100% yes, that I believe that the success of any pipe club is dependent on venue and constancy. It is I think the bane of any pipe club's success or potential success to be moving around to, I guess the flip side is the more pipe friendly of a place you're in, and that if you can be in it all the time, and you have some guarantee, as much as we have any guarantees, the better. Because in my experience with the Seattle Pipe Club, whenever any little change screws you up, if you change the day of your meeting, if you change the time, if you change the venue, people will drop off. So we as humans seem to like predictability. So having a consistent, and again, I call it venue, but having a consistent home, a place to be, is very important. And yeah, if there is an Indian reservation, and then some Indian reservations are becoming not smoke friendly. So yeah, this is an infection across the world. I think it's a pendulum to some degree. At some point, we're going to wake up and realize that there's all kinds of shit we do to ourselves that is bad. It's like, how much are you willing to tolerate? Do you really want to live in a bubble? Do we all want to live in a bubble? Or are we willing to submit to that kind of control and regulation where we can't do what we want? I mean, there are rules in Seattle in some apartments. You can't smoke in your apartment. You can't smoke outside your apartment. And it's like when the four walls of your own home aren't a place where you can do what you want, then what have we come to, right? So, but that's the context of the world we live in. So if someone is starting a pipe club in an area where there is any kind of a smoke-friendly venue, be it a bar or a restaurant or some kind of a private club where that's permitted, or an Indian reservation that to some extent makes their own rules, yeah, that's the perfect place to be.
Because there's something inherently wrong with a group of guys huddled around a fire in a 55-gallon drum in an alley, smoking their Chris Astor pipes and their Dunhills and yada yada.
No.
It just isn't right.
I'm 100% with you, Randall. That is, I couldn't have said it any better. Hi, Glenn, by the way.
Well, thank you. Thank you for your discussion. I appreciate it.
Randall, I have to admit that I wasn't quite sure where you were taking that story with the sitting around the 55-gallon drum, but then the idea of all of these, high quality paraphernalia around there. I get it now.
Or it could be an a cappella group.
Yeah, sure.
Or maybe both, Luciano, you're up next, sir.
Thank you. I have a simple question. Who will learn how to make tobacco and how to make a blend beside Joey Langford?
Sorry, I didn't quite. You mean?
I repeat. Who will learn how to make tobacco after?
You mean
Joe?
Who will make tobacco once Joe is no longer?
I am young. I think Joe live 100 years, but the.
Okay. I don't know exactly what the tobacco succession plans are for the Seattle Pipe Club, so that's kind of. Obviously, I love Joe, and he's a very close friend, and my plan is for him to live 100 years, as you say. Joe has created a lot of blends. We've been kind of restricted the last 4 or 5 years by the FDA in terms of the number of blends that we could introduce and the different kinds of blends that we can introduce. Although I will say that I'm happy to announce we are introducing a new, what we're calling a signature series of Virginia blends, which is brand new for us. We haven't been able to introduce any Virginia blends for a while, and Joe has had some amazing Virginia blends in the hopper. He's got a recipe. He's got like a Rolodex file of recipes that's like that big, and with his footnotes and personal notes on them as to how it should be made or processed. So, and these three Virginia blends are out of that recipe file. And my hope is that Joe will continue creating blends for many, many years, but he's also given us a large notebook of great blends yet to be discovered. So,
Okay, thank you.
Before I let Glenn pop in there, so when do you plan on introducing that new blend there, Matt?
Do you have can I screen share?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you should already be able to. Go right ahead.
Okay. Let me see.
You heard it here first, folks. Even if that's not true, I want to be able to say that.
Let's see. Can you see that?
See this? It's
there we
coming.
go.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Is that up on your screen? I can't tell.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So this is our first in the series of Virginia blends. This is an amazing pure Virginia plug. It's a 4-ounce plug. It's the first of what we're calling Joe's signature series. It's called Hogshead. And I don't know whether you folks know what a hogshead is or was, but in the old days of tobacco manufacture and shipping, they would pack tobacco very tightly into giant barrels called hogsheads. And the reason was that space was at a premium on board ships, and they would ship the Virginia tobaccos overseas and across the country. So the tighter that they could pack the tobacco into the hogshead, the better. And then when the barrel arrived at its destination, they would take the barrel apart, and there'd be a giant plug of tobacco that weighed 1,000 pounds that they would take apart and make their blends from or smoke as is. So this hogshead tobacco, and the illustration there is represented by a curious illustration of a lady doing some mending, sitting inside a giant hogshead barrel. And don't ask me why she's in there. I just we thought it was good. So, but this blend is the first Virginia blend that we're able to introduce, hogshead, and it's 10-year-old African Virginia and 10-year-old Brazilian Virginia, as well as red Virginias from the United States. So it is this and the other three that we're doing are going to be an amazing series. So here, I'll take this off now.
And then when is this going to drop?
Should drop. It's actually subject to some of the worldwide shipping delay issues. A couple of components are coming from overseas, and they haven't arrived yet. But it looks like April, I'm thinking.
Oh, man,
So
that sounds tasty.
Possibly we'll see these in Chicago?
Hang on a second. Let me get back to... I don't know how to get back to where I was.
Matt, look up sort of somewhere hovering above your screen there. There should be something that says stop share, a little red button. There
Done.
we go.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm not the most technically skilled.
You're doing great, man. Yeah. So possibly Chicago?
Actually, I think we will have we will have samples of this in Chicago. I'm not sure that the blend will be dropped well, I guess that's after April. So yeah, should be hitting the retailer shelves. I'm a little uncertain because the component tobaccos so it's a little delayed. So we have the packaging done, but it was supposed to drop in like this month, but it was probably going to be May or I'm sorry, I said April before. I think it's going to be May or June.
Gotcha. Let me just jump in here real quick. Glenn, you're up next there, but we are hitting that time of the meeting when I pop in and say, we don't go away yet because we're not done, but we are going to be chasing everybody out and going home and not getting in trouble with their wives here in about 15, 20 minutes. And I wanted to make sure that if you haven't been in one of our club meetings before, sorry, my co-host now wants to make herself known, that you're all welcome to join us in the Zoom room here. We do this meeting every Saturday at 11 a.m. Pacific and 7 p.m. Central European time, so please come and join us. We are still working on some other guest speakers for the coming weeks, not the least of which are places where we can do some virtual tours like Missouri Meerschaum and the Country Squire and places like those. So please come and join us for those days. That's my girlfriend there. So let me get back to Glenn here and let him ask his question there.
Hi, Matt. I was very excited to hear that you were going to be one of our guest speakers, so welcome to the Virtual Pipe Club.
Thank you, Glenn.
Warm personal greetings for the senior member of the Guss dynasty.
Well, I have the whitest hair anyway.
I very much liked your comment about associating a person with the pipe that you smoke and someone you have fond memories of, at least not ill feelings towards them.
Sure.
I tend to smoke a lot of estate pipes. And one of the things when I pick up an old pipe, regardless of its condition, it makes me romanticize about who owned this pipe and how has it survived. For instance, today I'm smoking my English-made Chadwick, which is 85 years old. And it's in very, very nice condition. Somebody either didn't like it and it ended up being tumbled into various bins, or they loved it and took care of it, cherished this pipe, and now I'm doing the same and actually have restored it somewhat. So it's a great feeling. It's something I think about every time I pick up a pipe. Is, you know, I like the shape, I know it'll smoke well, but again, I wonder if some Englishman bought this and smoked it his whole life and then passed it on to his son, who sold it, you know, to somebody after his death, or, you know, whatever it might be. But it's a very romantic notion.
It is, Glenn, and isn't it interesting? And I don't think about it all the time, but isn't it interesting to think of how we're really just stewards of these pipes? That we certainly hope that when we die, that our pipes go to somebody who, they may not know us, they may not know anything about us, but that they're going to get that feeling maybe that you described about that pipe, where you think, I wonder who owned this, and I wonder what good times were had behind this pipe. And I'd like to think that my pipes will go to somebody that I'd like to think that somebody's still smoking pipes, for God's sake. Yeah.
And oftentimes on the negative side, I mentally curse the person who had this pipe previously and smoked Lakeland blends in it.
Yeah, that's the worst thing is, I mean, I won't name the blenders, but I think we've all had the experience of accidentally or ignorantly putting a tobacco in a pipe that completely ghosts and poisons the pipe, and you just, like, there's just no fixing it, and you just think, God, one is I didn't know that would happen. 2 is what an idiot I am, and 3 is God damn it, now I got to throw away that pipe, and yeah.
Very cool. Sean, you're going to be our cleanup batter here. Sean K.
Cleanup batter.
I mean,
sorry. Since a lot of those
hog
heads would come over to the States.
And Sean will get to ask our last question. Didn't mean to throw in an obscure baseball reference there.
I thought it was cake batter.
So, I was going to ask about the hogshead blend, as a lot of those hogsheads would originally come over to the States carrying port or Madeira or whiskey, and then they would pack it with tobacco to ship it back over to Europe. And I know I love your the Seattle Pipe Club's plum pudding that's been aged in bourbon. Do you have any plans to do that with the?
Not with the hogshead. The bourbon barrel was kind of an inspiration. That it's always interesting to think of things as variables that you can or might change. That plum pudding bourbon barrel, for example, is regular plum pudding, but it's in a fresh bourbon barrel. And it sits in by fresh, I mean wet. It's out of a Kentucky bourbon barrel that has just been emptied, shipped up to Sutliff, stuffed with plum pudding, and put a lid on it. And it literally imbues and marries in all the essences and the spirits of the bourbon in with the plum pudding and changes it really in a way that we didn't predict. And then we put a little chunk of the barrel in there just for the heck of it. But most of the change is done in the month aging process. So that turned out really well. I mean, it's funny how you don't know how it's going to turn out, right? You just try it, and it actually turned out fantastic. And we try, and we use rum barrels for Mississippi River, but it's a nice approach. The hogshead, I don't see that. I don't see us doing a variation of that. For one thing, it hasn't even hit the streets yet. I think it's going to be a very, very popular blend on its own and won't need any, changes or variations as we go along. But we'll see. I mean, anything's possible, I guess.
Great. Well, we are almost at the time that I chase everybody out. So as I pointed out, we don't get everybody in trouble with their wives and families so that you can come back again next week. I wanted to touch on the question that Matt was asked by Randall about where an appropriate venue might be if you're thinking about starting your own pipe club. And Tim pointed out in our chat that a great place to go is your local brick and mortar. Sometimes that's not possible to host an active smoking group there, but you don't know. And it's a great way to bring new traffic to our local brick and mortars and at least make some good relationships with people who are selling the pipes and the tobaccos that we all, are part of our lifestyle. So if you're thinking about it, or maybe you want to interact with other people who might form a club, go on down to your local brick and mortar and see if you can get something started there. And then if worst comes to worst, take a quick hop down to the airport, get on a plane, and come out to Seattle and go to the next meeting. Which brings me to my last question for Matt this time around, and that is, can you go over once more where the Seattle Pipe Club is meeting and what days of the month you're meeting on, and so that some of us in the local area can show up?
Absolutely. To begin with, you can find us online. You can find us. We have a Facebook group called modestly Seattle Pipe Club. You can find us there. We have a website. I think it's seattlepipeclub.org. You can get on our mailing list. We have kind of like two kinds of groups. You can be a dues paying member, but it's not required, nor is it required to attend the meetings. Or you can just say, hey, I'd like to get information about the Pipe Club when it's available, and then we'll put you on that mailing list for meetings and so forth. We meet on the second Wednesday of every month at about 6 o'clock. We meet at a place called Smoky Joe's Cigar Lounge in beautiful downtown Fife, Washington, which is a little bit north of Tacoma and about 25 miles south of Seattle. So you can kind of pinpoint it on Google Maps that way. And in fact, Smoky Joe's is undergoing a big remodel, and we may be in their new facilities next week. And in fact, our Pipe Club meeting is the second Wednesday of the month is next week. So next Wednesday. And we have an email going out today. So if you're not on our mailing list, by all means, you're most welcome. And by extension, everyone and anyone who comes to the Seattle Pipe Club, comes to our area is most welcome. And I extend a warm invitation to everybody. We've had Glenn and others be very welcome visitors to the Seattle Pipe Club. And it's always great to see either new faces or folks that we've met or only seen online. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, Matt and I just met today, actually, we've been sort of occasionally sending messages back and forth and saying, we should get together. Yes, we should. But today was the first time I had a chance to chat with him and then see his lovely face on the live stream here. So I'm really excited about this. But right off the bat, one of the things I can tell is that we have not even begun to scratch the surface of the stories that he has to share. Like, this is very funny to me. So we were talking earlier today before the meeting, and he said, I'm not very creative and I don't have a whole lot of stories to share like some other people. And I'm like, okay, so A, he has a lot of stories, and B, he might be just a little bit modest. Just saying. So
I've never been accused of that.
So Matt, the one question I have is, will you come back and be our guest again?
Oh, I'd love to. I had more fun than I thought. And I think when we were chatting earlier, you said, well, you can tell some stories. And I said, well, the good thing about stories is they don't have to be true. But I think most of what I said is based in reality. But yeah, I thank you very much. It's been fun to be here and fun to chat. And I'd love to come back. Thank you for the invitation.
Well, we'd love to have you. I can just tell you that. All right, so this is the time when I do I imagine myself as a barkeep somewhere in Dublin, and I ring the time bell and say, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. We appreciate all of you, and as I say every week, no politics involved on this comment. I don't care what you do. I don't care how you want to manage this, but please take care of yourself in these times. Wash your hands, stay in the basement, get the shot, whatever you like to do, but just take care of yourself so that you can come back again and be part of our community once more, because we love you. That's it.
David, thank you.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you, Matt.
Great week, everybody.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, David.
We'll see you. Luciano, welcome.
Thank you.
And we'll look forward to seeing you guys all next week.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it.
Have a great weekend, all.
Thanks, Matt.
Great show, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Matt.
Appreciate it.
Bye-bye. Bye from Italy.
Bye, Luciano.